Yeah. This ain't no Meltzer recap. This that boots hit the mat, mic drop, headlock, slap type shit. Fuck the IWC. Fuck the IWC. Fuck the IWC. This is CWC. Yo, Notorious D, I ain't here to debate y'all body slam takes. Then I mock the creators, your fave podcast sound like they scared of a promo. I talk facts in your face like a stiff-ass cholo. No respect for the dogs who hide behind melts. They sucking stars off like it boosts they belts. While I'm cooking these takes with a mic and a match. Got the casual fam saying, talk that trash. I don't do fantasy cards or Reddit wars. I spit pipe bombs like I kicked in the doors. Y'all cuddling AEW, begging for hugs. I'm calling out marks like I'm Cena or Thug. We the reason that the crowd stay lit while they beg for a work rate. We strive for the shit. Fuck the IWC. Fuck the IWC. Fuck the IWC. This is CW.
What is up, CWC? We are in here tonight. It is Mount Rushmore, Monday, May the 13th, 2025. This is the CWC Podcast. I am the voice of the casual wrestling community, Notorious Dirty D, and tonight I have a hell of a show planned for you guys. If you're new here, welcome. If you're looking for some new wrestling friends and you feel like the internet is full of a bunch of pretentious pricks, this is your new home. You are now part of the CWC, where the motto is simple: fuck the IWC. It is Mount Rushmore Monday. I have a fun list to run by you guys. Tonight, we're going to go over the fallout of Monday Night Raw and some of Backlash. We touch on a little bit of news, and we break the IWC spirits. This episode of the CWC Podcast is brought to you by the Casual Wrestling Merch Store. Get your very own Fuck the IWC hoodie or t-shirt right now. Let's get into it. Man, I really felt it tonight. I really felt the 2.5 hours of Monday Night Raw. And there's just something about a shorter wrestling show that really kind of just expedites and really just enhances my experience of watching pro wrestling. I am a 2 to 2.5 hour wrestling fan. That is what holds my attention. I think 2 hours is the absolute sweet spot. But Monday Night Raw at about 2.5 hours is the far more stomachable television program right now. And I just cannot wait. I absolutely cannot wait until these rumors are confirmed that SmackDown will step away from the 3-hour time block and move back to that sweet 2 hours of wrestling that really it's just punchy. It just feels better. The story beats feel more crisp. It doesn't feel like we're having to fill a show with a bunch of stuff that otherwise wouldn't make television. Monday Night Raw, the pacing is absolutely fantastic. I sit through an episode of Monday Night Raw and I enjoy what I see. I love Monday Night Raw even more when I catch it about an hour late and Netflix starts to eliminate commercials for me, and I kind of catch up as I get to the end, and if I pace it just right, I can get through the entire episode of Monday Night Raw without watching any commercials. And to me, that is the absolute best way to watch pro wrestling. The 3 hours on a Friday night especially, because it feels like you have to dedicate your entire Friday night to SmackDown. If we could find that tight 2 hours, that 7 to 9 time slot where at 9 o'clock, you then have the freedom, if you'd like to do something else on Friday, you have that freedom to go out and experience life. But this 7 to 10 o'clock SmackDown, it is, I know I'm griping a little bit, but it is a tough watch. But let's talk about Monday Night Raw, because I thought this was a solid Monday Night Raw. For about the third or fourth week in a row, this has been a Monday Night Raw that has held my attention from start to finish. I did not fast forward. I did not skip anything. I didn't really pick up my phone to, sometimes I catch myself picking up my phone to play a game during certain matches. But tonight on Monday Night Raw, I just kind of locked in and focused the whole way through. I thought the main event was a good main event. I've seen some people complaining. I've seen some people praising. I'm going to fall on the side of, I think that was a good main event. I think that this was a great showing for Roxanne Perez and Julia. I think they went out there, they did the damn thing. I continue to be impressed with Io Sky. I am starting to understand what all of the hype is about. I understand what the hype is about with Julia. I understand what the hype is about with Roxanne Perez. But I will tell you, Rhea Ripley is still the fucking star of the women's division. Nothing changed. Nobody can change my mind. When you look at all of those women in the ring on Monday Night Raw, Rhea Ripley is still the clear-cut alpha female of the Monday Night Raw women's division. It is Rhea Ripley. It is Bianca Belair, who is currently injured with broken hand. But those are the alpha dogs. And you can't convince me otherwise. You're going to have a hard time selling me on these women who are 5'3" and under that these are the alpha dogs. They're great. They're great. And maybe WWE needs a light heavyweight women's division, but I'm so hard sold when Rhea Ripley gets to one-on-one with Roxanne Perez or one-on-one with Julia or one-on-one with Io Sky. It is just, the optics are just ridiculous because Rhea Ripley is just an absolute monster of a human being. Rhea Ripley is an absolute savage of an athlete, and you want me to believe that these other three women can stand toe-to-toe with Rhea Ripley one-on-one in a professional fight. You're not selling me on it, WWE. Now, in this format that we got tonight on Monday Night Raw, absolutely love it because the chaos of a tag team match, this is absolutely believable. I can believe that the chaos of the tag team match and the teamwork of a Roxanne Perez and a Julia, I can believe that can overcome the size difference. Where you're going to have a problem, Triple H, is when you have to put these women one-on-one in a ring with Rhea Ripley. It just optically doesn't work. It just doesn't. I'm sorry. And like I said, I'm sold on Io Sky. I think she's absolutely fantastic. I'm sold on Julia. I see what the hype is about. I am absolutely sold on Roxanne Perez. She reminds me of an AJ Lee. But my issue is not with them. The issue is with the alpha dog status of a Rhea Ripley, her size, her physique, her ability to move and fight. It is the reason why there are divisions in UFC and in boxing. It is because it is just not fair. And it is just not fair that Rhea Ripley is so much bigger and so much stronger and so much more, not more athletic, but more athletic for size per pound. Rhea Ripley is an absolute beast. So I loved that Monday Night Raw main event. I thought it was phenomenal. Thought it did a great job of introducing us to Julia and introducing us to Roxanne Perez. Those of us who are not super familiar with their work, it did a great job of once again continuing the story arc of Io Sky. But man, it just solidified for me who the real fucking star was in that ring. It is Rhea Ripley. She is the absolute alpha dog. And so next, Triple H has to figure out what the trick is to putting these women in a ring with somebody like Rhea Ripley. I don't envy that situation because you have to do it, because these are the cards that you have. You have a Julia, you have a Roxanne Perez, you have an Io Sky who are undersized, quote unquote, compared to a Rhea Ripley. So you got to figure out how to get them in the ring, but you're going to have to be creative with the storytelling. It worked at WrestleMania because you had Bianca and Rhea kind of take each other out, and Io was able to slide through the cracks. I don't like the idea of putting Io Sky and Rhea Ripley in a ring face-to-face, one-on-one. You're going to have to find something different for Rhea Ripley to do right now. And we can explore some of this. Io Sky Roxanne, that makes perfect sense. Io Sky Julia, I like the optics of that. I just don't like the optics of putting Rhea Ripley across the ring one-on-one with any of these women. I don't think it works. I could be wrong. Triple H could prove me wrong. It's going to take great storytelling. It's going to take a Rey Mysterio-esque type story to make me believe. But I don't. Rhea Ripley is the alpha star right now of the women's division. We started the show with CM Punk, Sami Zayn, Seth Rollins, and Braun Breaker. This is going to be fun. This is going to be fun. I'm strapping in for this. I like where this is going. I like the optics of these four being placed into the ring. I like the little bit of mistrust between Sami Zayn and CM Punk. I like the dynamics of Braun Breaker and Seth Rollins. I think we may even be building towards adding Jey Uso to the CM Punk and Sami Zayn side and revealing who the third member of this, vision group is for Seth Rollins. But CM Punk is never going to upset. I think this is a good look for Sami Zayn, somebody who I think a lot of the crowd was tired of and may still be tired of, but I think this is the proper spot for a guy like Sami Zayn right now. Seth Rollins, absolute dog. Braun Breaker, absolute dog. The fact that he got involved with Jey Uso tonight, it all just intertwines and makes sense, and I think we're headed to a story that's going to get some legs, and like I said, this is ultimately all going to end up the story of Braun Breaker. So the story beats that we take to get to that eventually are just going to be little cherries and icing on the cake. So I'm all good. I like this. I like the optics. I like starting the show. I like CM Punk taking shots at Paul Heyman. I like Seth Rollins sort of defending Paul Heyman. I like the dynamics of how Seth Rollins is embracing Paul Heyman, not necessarily as a wise man, not necessarily, it almost looks like that Paul Heyman is more kin to take care of Braun Breaker and that Seth Rollins is the clear distinctive decision maker of this group. So I like all of that. And we got a match made official for Saturday night main event, which is CM Punk and Sami Zayn versus Seth and Braun. That'll be fun. It's a perfect Saturday night main event match because the more non-title matches we can get on Saturday night main event, the better. Because title matches on Saturday night main event up until right now, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think there's been a title change on a Saturday night main event because they've kind of played it pretty straightforward like house shows. So matches like this where the winner can be determined outside of a title, I like that. We got Jey Uso and Logan Paul made official for Saturday night main event. If all goes like I just said, and we continue the trend of not having title changes on Saturday night main event, then you could count me completely uninterested in this match. Unless they figure out a way to further other storylines, you can count me uninterested in a match that I pre-know Jey Uso's going to win. And I think based on what we saw tonight on Monday Night Raw, it's weird, this idea of throwing Gunther right back into the title picture after I think you had safely removed him. I think you had gotten Gunther out of the title picture kind of unscathed. I think that what we saw on Saturday at Backlash between Pat McAfee and Gunther, whether it was a little long, I'll argue. I thought it was a long match. I don't think Pat should have had that much offense, but I still think it was effective nonetheless to get Gunther removed from needing to be a champion. And the focus was that Gunther is a monster and he can attack at any time. And if you disrespect him, a guy like Pat McAfee can be taken out. But all of a sudden tonight on Monday Night Raw, we're thrown into this kind of thought experiment where Gunther comes back out and states his claim to the World Heavyweight Championship in a match that'll happen, I think, a month from now, which is a little weird, which is extremely telling for Saturday night main event because they're not doing Logan Paul versus Gunther. They're doing Jey Uso versus Gunther again. So like I said, you're not going to see these title changes on Saturday night main event. And that makes me a little sad because this Saturday night main event is starting to feel like homework. It feels like something I have to watch because I have to be in the know, but I kind of go into the event already knowing what happens. And I don't love that, especially when it comes to title matches. Just give me 5 non-title matches on Saturday Night Main Event, and I'll be fine. I'll actually probably enjoy the event more. But I don't know why we're throwing Gunther back into the title picture at this point. I don't know, like, if you look at Gunther, I look at Gunther right now and I go, this chant that's going on, the "you tapped out," that's not a good look for Gunther. We didn't have to be in that position. We could just be in a position where Gunther lost the match and he still looks strong. But you still have the crowd who has turned on Gunther chanting, "You tapped out." Now we're bringing Gunther back into the Jey Uso situation, which reignites kind of that crowd and, that invites the crowd to reignite that champ. And now you're up against a wall that if we do Jey Uso versus Gunther again, we assume Jey Uso is going to win that match again. Now you have Gunther with 2 losses under his belt when I feel like we were starting to see a little bit of a monster Gunther. We were starting to see a little bit of a darker side of Gunther, and then to have him take another loss would, to me, be backwards. Now, hopefully there's a different story beat going on here. So hopefully there's something in place. Hopefully there's something I'm missing, a piece of the puzzle that I'm not quite seeing. Hopefully we see that as we get closer to that date. But it is interesting to me that we threw Gunther back into that fire after, like I said, a match on Backlash that I think most people, the kind of consensus I see from most people is it wasn't a bad match on Saturday. It was just longer than we all thought it was going to be. It probably could have been a squash match, but instead it ended up being pat with a little bit of offense, which I'm fine with. Looking back at it, I'm not mad at it. I didn't think there's anything wrong with it. It doesn't look like it's leading to Goldberg, which, thank you. I mean, I think we all kind of appreciate the fact that as of right now, it's not leading to Goldberg. That doesn't mean that the end result when Jey fights Gunther again doesn't see Goldberg show up. But for the time being, it looks like we avoided this Goldberg situation. Last thing from Monday Night Raw is I got a question for you guys, and this is really hurting my brain. I don't remember Becky Lynch being this bad at cutting promos, and so I don't know. Is this a new thing, or am I just now coming off of the Kool-Aid of Becky Lynch? I have been known to call Becky Lynch the greatest women's superstar of all time. And the last 2 or 3 weeks that Becky has cut a promo, I've listened and I'm like, the pacing is off. I don't love the way she talks to the crowd and answers for the crowd. I think that as her promo went on Monday, it got progressively better. I will say that I think she finished the promo better than she started it. But as a whole, I don't know if I just drank the Becky Lynch Kool-Aid. I don't know if I'm just a fan of Becky Lynch so much that I overlooked. I feel like a couple years ago, Becky Lynch was cutting much higher level promos than what we're seeing right now. And I don't hate the story she's involved in. I like the kind of direction they're taking her character as this acknowledging who she is. And if, it does feel like it's mirroring Charlotte just a little too closely, but that's okay. We can pretend like that's not happening. But I don't love the delivery system that Becky's using to give me these promos. And that's the question I ask is, have I just been blind to this for so long? Or is this a real thing that's been happening? And someone help you guys answer that question. Let's talk a little bit more about the Backlash fallout. Some of the things we didn't talk about that weren't addressed on Monday Night Raw here. We have the post-Backlash press conference that saw John Cena attack R-Truth in the press room. I love this. I've seen some people who are upset about the idea that, in 2 weeks' time, we're more than likely going to get R-Truth versus John Cena. But I don't know what you guys are expecting at this point, right? With these rushed appearances and the limited times we get John Cena, this seemingly is going to move very fast, and they don't have time to build up new opponents. And I don't think they're going to waste 2 consecutive events on one person. This is the greatest hits of John Cena, and it just so happens that R-Truth is the next person up. And I've seen people go, they want R-Truth to be the guy to take the title off of John Cena. I don't think you take an almost 60-year-old guy in R-Truth and have him be the guy to dethrone John Cena down the road. I think that spot's reserved for Cody Rhodes more than likely, or a younger talent if that's the way they choose to go. I think this is the time you do the R-Truth thing. I think it'll be a fun match. It'll probably have some comedic elements. It will kind of wrap up this story that we've had throughout John Cena and R-Truth's career. There'll be a little bit of emotion, I think, in this match as we see R-Truth's childhood hero kind of destroy him in the middle of a ring. I think that match will be fun. I don't know if it's for the title. I don't care if that one's for the title because we all know who's winning that match, whether it's a title match or not. It'll be the story beats of that match that make that match interesting and make that match fun. And I'm all for it. I think when you have 2 weeks time to build a match and you're talking about we're hitting the greatest hits of John Cena, this works. This absolutely works. They set it up nicely. We got through Randy Orton, which was a hell of a match on Saturday. If all of these John Cena best of matches are going to look like what we saw on Saturday, I thoroughly enjoyed that match. I liked all the ref bumps. I thought Randy looked good. I thought Cena looked good. I thought it was a far better match than WrestleMania. I think it can put to bed this idea that Cena's just going to shit the bed month after month after month. I think it probably leans into a little bit more of this idea that The Rock fucked up WrestleMania. The Rock fucked up the main event of WrestleMania. They had to improvise. That's why we got what we got, because that wasn't the original plan. And now we see when Cena's given the full time to cook and control, and they're able to mold this story just around John Cena, that a match with Randy Orton can be a fire match. I think the match with R-Truth will be a fun match. And then I do think, as I've been told by a few people, I like the idea. I don't know how we get there, but I love the idea of CM Punk versus John Cena at Money in the Bank. I think you talk about hitting on emotional notes. I think that absolutely makes sense. And there's ways to get there. It's far enough away that you can get Punk out of his storyline to face John Cena at Money in the Bank. We got to talk about Jeff Cobb. Jeff Cobb is the random person who showed up during Backlash that I had no clue who it was. I was informed by the casual wrestling community that this is somebody from, is it New Japan? One of these other companies. He was a big deal in one of these other companies. I was told that he has history with Jacob Fatu. So obviously that's what this has all been about, is we're bringing in this guy to face off with Jacob Fatu. Man, you're going to have to sell me on this guy. He was little. He was small. He's not, his presence I didn't just go, man, this guy just jumps off the screen. They're going to have to sell me on this Jeff Cobb guy. And so I'll play wait and see on it, but I just thought, I don't think the surprise hit quite as big. It's interesting to me that Triple H would run this type of surprise at a Backlash. I don't think it connected with the casual fans. I don't think the casual fans, the general casual audience didn't know who this guy was. And so I don't know what the end result comes from that. And once again, this all just ties into the messiness of Friday Night SmackDown for me. Let's talk about, I gained a new level of respect for my guy, Dirty Dominic Mysterio, this week when I saw this quote from Dominic Mysterio, which of all people, to be Dominic Mysterio, I think is fitting. A guy who I was so hard on early in his career, a guy that I took some shots at early on, saying he had a lot of growing to do. He's grown up. He's found the maturity. This quote comes from the Intoxicados podcast, and Dominic Mysterio explains why he doesn't do too many spectacular, high-flying moves every match. He says, if you go out there and you wrestle 100 times and you do a moonsault 90% of the time, the people are just going to start to expect it. If you give it to them 10% of the time, when I do hit that moonsault, everybody's going to be like, damn, did you see that moonsault? It's going to mean more. Hey, listen up, Will Ospreay. Listen up. Pay attention to what your boy Dirty Dom's out here saying, because Dirty Dom is out here spitting absolute gems of wrestling knowledge that you should pick up on. Every match doesn't have to be 5 stars. Every match doesn't have to be loaded with flippy flip high impact spots. Every match doesn't have to have every move in your arsenal. It is okay when telling a story to pace yourself. It is okay when you are someone like Dominic Mysterio to use the elements of storytelling, to use the elements of charisma, to use the elements of your character to sell people on the story, and then out of nowhere, you surprise him with some nice shit like a moonsault or whatever it is that Dom's got in his bag. And that's when the crowd really pays attention and reacts. That's when you get the oohs and ahs. The truth is, with a Will Ospreay, you've seen it once, you've seen it all. That's the problem. I think that's the argument that a lot of people make against Will Ospreay is when you've seen it once, you've seen it all. And then if it didn't wow you the first time, it's not going to wow you the second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, ninth, 10th time. That's the reality. But Dirty Dom has built a character. He's built stories. He's gotten far better in the ring, far better on a microphone. Dominic Mysterio has honed in on all the skills. And I'm going to hot take right here. Dominic Mysterio is a better all-around professional wrestler than Will Ospreay. Fucking quote it, write it down, come after me for it. I don't care what you say. It's the truth. Dominic Mysterio, based on IQ, based on character, based on charisma, he is a better all-around professional wrestler than Will Ospreay. Maybe he doesn't do the flippy flips better, but he does everything else. And when you have a mentality like this quote, he's ahead of the game. Knowledge-wise, he's ahead. But why wouldn't you be? You're Rey Mysterio's son. You've been around the greats for a long time. You understand the psychology of professional, unlike a Will Ospreay who just thinks everybody should love me because I flip a lot. That to me, that's just absolutely asinine and insane. I saw this. I picked this up. This was a tweet or a post on Reddit. It says, no wonder why so many people view WWE as the evil empire of professional wrestling because of stuff like deliberate counter programming against other promotions that they've been doing since the late 1980s. And this is in regards to PW Insider reporting that WWE is potentially looking at a weekend of July 12th in Atlanta for the Evolution 2 pay-per-view, timed with Saturday night's main event taping as well. So the weekend would look like, I believe, Saturday night main event on Saturday and Evolution on Sunday. And this is all timed up to compete with All In Texas on Saturday, July 12th. Hey, this is why you keep your mouth shut, Will Ospreay. Tony Khan, this is why y'all shut the fuck up. You keep poking the bear. You don't get to keep poking the bear, Mercedes Moné, and then think that they're not going to passive aggressively come back and interrupt your business. That's, unfortunately, this is how business works. And as long as you keep calling yourself competition, they're going to treat you like competition. And so they're going to drop, it's going to be a hellacious main event. Believe me, this main event is going to be absolutely insane. I've said, go on record, there's a possibility they bring back Brock Lesnar for this main event. I could see them do Brock Lesnar, John Cena for Saturday night main event just to fucking bury AEW. And then they would follow that up with a hellacious Evolution where they would just put Mercedes Moné and the AEW women's division to shame. This is what happens when you poke the bear. This is what happens, Will Ospreay. Stop fucking poking Triple H, and he probably will let you have one day a month. But if you guys like Tony Khan and you guys like Will Ospreay, you keep poking the fucking bear, man, this is what you get. This is the repercussions of talking shit. This is the definition of fuck around and find out. You're about to find out what it means when WWE locks in and they take what's supposed to be your big night, and all of a sudden Brock Lesnar or somebody like that shows up. If you get a main event, at Saturday night main event, you get the main event of like a Brock Lesnar and a John Cena, you're cooked. AEW's cooked. You're cooked. You're done. Like, you're fucked. It's going to destroy your ratings. You better pray that's not in the cards. Speaking of Mercedes Moné, last story I want to touch on here is I saw this report from the Ringside Roster Wrestling News and Rumors page that says, it's a quote from Mercedes Moné. Whether this is real or not, I don't know. This is what I found on the internet. This is our biggest pay-per-view of the year, and you're talking to the biggest star in all of professional wrestling, all of women's wrestling. I put women's wrestling on the map. So to do that in Texas, I am the Beyonce of wrestling, and I cannot wait to show everybody not only my gear, my outfit, the look, but just the match alone. And that's apparently Mercedes Moné from Instinct Culture. What is somebody, like I said this with Will Ospreay, I'm going to say this with Mercedes Moné. Do you not have a PR department in AEW? With all of that money that you throw around, you cannot find somebody to run PR interference on these people saying these absolutely outlandish things. What are you talking about, Mercedes Moné? To be the Beyonce of professional wrestling, you actually have to sell out every arena you go to. Everyone, not just some of them, not just once or twice a year. It has to be every one you go to, and you have to do it on your shoulders. And I look, outside of the sickos that watch AEW, you are non-existent. WWE fans are not clamoring for the return of Sasha Banks. It's just not happening. We are completely content with you staying in AEW. That's not Beyonce energy. That's not Beyonce. I know they said for a while it was Bryan Danielson that was supposed to be policing this stuff, but clearly he's retired and gone on to greener pastures. Whose job is it? Hire me, Tony Khan. I'll apply right now. I will apply. I have marketing background. I have PR classes under my belt. I will help you. I will sit in these interviews, and when they start to talk, I'll go, don't say that. Scratch that from the interview. She can't say that. When Will Ospreay starts talking shit about Triple H, I'll go, Will, don't say that. Stop talking out y'all's ass and start speaking real facts from your heart. AEW would be such a better company if they just spoke about being a niche company that is for a subset of fans, and we try really hard to appease those fans, and that's what we're here for. When you start throwing around Beyonce's and we're the best wrestlers in the world, you lose people. Like, people start to look at you and go, y'all are crazy. Y'all are absolutely batshit crazy. And that's all this quote does. This quote, sure, we talk about it on the internet, but I don't believe this. I don't believe the theory that, like, all press is good press. Not when people are making fun of you. Like, when people are making fun of you, that's not a good look, because I'm not going to watch All In because because Mercedes Moné says she's Beyonce. It's not happening. I'm going to laugh at you. I'm going to talk shit. I'm going to preach to my community what a fucking fool you are. And then I'm going to move on. It's not a good look. Before we get out of here today, it's Mount Rushmore Monday. I want to drop a Mount Rushmore for everybody here. And this is an interesting one, because this is a Mount Rushmore that is going to reside a little bit in recency bias. I want to do the Mount Rushmore of the Bloodline. And this is interesting. This took me aback a little bit to kind of think, because when you talk about the Bloodline, it reflects dominance. It reflects cultural impact. And to me, to put four faces of the Bloodline on a Mount Rushmore, it becomes very, very touchy, very dicey. I know what I say in the next 5 minutes is going to upset a lot of the older wrestling fans, but this is going to be a hard reality, a hard pill for a lot of wrestling fans to swallow. There are four names that belong on the Bloodline Mount Rushmore, and they are all very, very recent names. We're going to start with number one. It's Roman Reigns. No debate. He's the top dog. He's the George Washington. He's the face of the faction, the head of the table, and he's the reason that the storyline has become the greatest storyline in WWE history. Without Roman Reigns, there is nobody touting the Bloodline the way they are. Roman Reigns isn't just on the mountain. He could be the mountain by himself. You could just carve four Roman Reigns faces into the side of the mountain and say that's the Mount Rushmore of the Bloodline. But I'm going to move forward, and I'm going to say that Jey Uso deserves a spot next to Roman Reigns on that Mount Rushmore as the heart and the soul of the bloodline. Jey Uso has made us care. He has made us feel. He has gone from the I'm not your bitch, Roman Reigns, to yeeting and cultural impact that is above what everybody else has ever done in the bloodline. He has carried the emotional core, and he has been the successor to Roman Reigns coming out of the core version of the bloodline, and every faction needs that conflicted soldier. And Jey Uso was that guy through every story beat. To me, Jey Uso was more important than Jimmy Uso, was more important than Solo Sikoa. He's more important than Jacob Fatu. He's just the guy that kind of drove it outside of Roman Reigns. And to me, he deserves a spot on that list. And so now we're going to talk about someone a little controversial, and that is, this is the connective tissue of the bloodline. This is Paul Heyman, the mastermind. He's the man, the myth, the legend. He built the tension. He elevated Roman Reigns' image. He brought the bloodline to God tier. Every time he held that microphone, we paid attention. Every time he held up Roman Reigns' title above his head, he cemented the bloodline's legitimacy. Paul Heyman did more for the bloodline than he ever did for CM Punk, than he ever did for Brock Lesnar, than he ever did for any other professional wrestling superstar. Paul Heyman has to be on that Mount Rushmore. Now number 4 is going to piss people off. Number 4 is going to upset a lot of people, but I'm going to say it, and then I'm going to get the fuck out of here before y'all try to tear my head off. And that is, the 4th person on the Mount Rushmore for the bloodline is Sami Zayn. Let that sink in. Let that sink in with you. Sami Zayn turned the most dominant stable in the world into appointment television. When Sami Zayn joined the bloodline, it became the most must-watch thing on all of professional TV. I mean, just in general, he was everything that the bloodline was missing. He created the comedy, the tension, the betrayal, the humanity. Like, his betrayal later on was peak bloodline. His Uzi era was absolute viral gold. And I understand. I understand that it's insane to have 2 non-Samoan guys on this list, but Sami Zayn made the bloodline mainstream. He took it to that next level. Some people who were growing tired of the bloodline, they engaged back in. No one else. Jimmy didn't do it. Solo didn't do it. I know you could try and talk about guys like Rikishi and the older cats. You could try to throw The Rock in here on this list, but to me, Sami Zayn, the t-shirts, right? The memes, the crowd reactions, that run of the bloodline changed them from just a great faction to an all-time next level greatest faction of all time. That's my Mount Rushmore. You guys let me know who would be on yours. That's all I've got for today. Yeet on over and hit the like button and leave a comment. It really helps us. Leave a real comment. Once again, you're doing a good job, guys. Leave real comments on these videos. It helps me get into the algorithm. We're building this channel. It's a podcast channel. I've tried to do the talking head shit, tried to do all that stuff. We're sticking to the podcast. It's what most people like. Let's grow the podcast. I'll be back tomorrow night for Tournament Tuesday, where we'll do a bracket fight. We'll pick something. We'll do something cool. I am the Notorious Dirty D. We can ring the final bell.
Notorious. Big